U3, I headed a national project sponsored by the Departments of Trade and Industry and the Construction Industry Training Board. It was my idea. It was called Seeing is Believing and How E-Business Works in the Real World. It was heading this 2-year project that I realised something very, very, very good. Actions speak louder than words on a pamphlet when you want something to get noticed. And that was my thought about our U3a movement when I was considering the station adoption project, which you'll hear all about. After retiring, I thought I was going to be kicking my heels, but no. I discovered the lovely U3a and its amazing concept. I'm very passionate about it and what it achieves for individuals. It brings joy and enthusiasm into our lives, and I sincerely hope that during my time I have also contributed to bringing a bit of joy and enthusiasm into our U3a. Which leads me on to AGM October 2021, doesn't seem 5 minutes away. That was when I passed the chair over to Barry. In my closing speech, I remember standing here and saying that I was thinking about our U3a adopting Kidderminster railway station. Lots of things we could do for the community, but more important, it was a very, very good and significant way that we could get our U3a noticed, and all for free. Doesn't cost us a penny. Also, one of the things I wanted to achieve, and I know other people are with me on this, is that we do things for the wider community, for the good of many. And my philosophy of life is that while enjoying ourselves, we are all here, quite simply, to serve one another in whatever way that we can. Members in our U3a have a wealth of experience, knowledge and skills, far too good to waste. So what better way than using those to bring a little cheer to our railway station that will be visited by so many people over the coming years. Before I began running with the idea, I mentioned my thoughts to Alan Walmsley, who was at that time chair of the U3a West Midlands region. He considered it to be an inventive idea and said, go ahead and see how it goes. He even tried to source a boat for me at one point, because that was one of the things I had in mind for the station, as you're all aware. So after the 2021 AGM, I immediately received responses from members wishing to take part. And Teresa Alexander here today was the very, very first one that came over to me. And from that moment it grew. And a bank of willing volunteers have been working tirelessly with me ever since, trying to put these projects together that I had in mind. None of them were put off, fortunately, and they supported it all with great enthusiasm. And I thank them all for it. What I didn't envisage when I took this on was dealing with the protocols of two big organisations, Network Rail and West Midlands Railway, and that it would take almost 3 years to achieve some of the things that I had in mind for us to do. Each project initially felt as if it had got a lead balloon attached to it, but with determination we just carried on, battled on, and everything began coming to life. Going back to September 2021, when the Worcestershire Community Rail Partnership invited us to adopt the station, I've been working very, very closely with them ever since. Fiona Saxon is my contact there, and she supports me in every way, shape or form that she can. And I was also told that they provided money for us, so what's not to like? And I was informed right at the very beginning that at no time is our U3a expected to pay a penny towards any of the adoption unless they choose to do so. It's our enthusiasm to make a difference that is what they're after. And I believe it's our enthusiasm that has actually pulled us all the way through this. Sadly, when you take on adoption, you don't have it made clear to you exactly what the procedures are to follow. And I had a bit of a problem to start with, trying to work out the permissions to be obtained, etc. But I persevered, and I got there. But unfortunately, very often, the people I've been talking to decided they'd up and leave. So it was a case of, was it something I said? But somebody else came along, but you have to start all over again. You see, Network Rail own the infrastructure, and it is West Midlands Trains that actually lease it from them. So every time you want to do anything at all, you have to go through 2 lots of hoops. But you persevere, and you eventually get there. The one thing I didn't bank on was the fact that everything I did, I had to do a risk assessment, a 25-page document. But we were not deterred, we got together and we worked out to do it, and we did. So, given all that, we jumped through all the various hoops and we succeeded with an amazing, enthusiastic team, some of which are here today. And we're all immensely proud of what we have done in the name of our U3a. The adoption can be ongoing if we so wish, that's entirely up to us. And we have got a couple of projects that we might like to pursue next year, so we're thinking about that one and see how it goes. Teresa, again, I've already mentioned, she was doing an amazing job keeping all of our gardeners G'd up, me included. And I know she's going to agree with the statement wholeheartedly in what I say, and she says it on a film in a minute when we look at it. It's the comments that we receive at the station when we're working that tell us what a grand job we are doing for our community and how much it is appreciated. And those who do not know about the U3a movement, and that is most we talk to, they soon do. And they are pointed to our notice board that tells them all about the projects we're doing or what we have done. I mentioned Alan Walmsley earlier on at the beginning. He's fully aware of our successes and he's now been appointed chair of our national U3a. In July, when he was vice chair, he sent me an email, and this is what it said. I am up and down the country on trains, passing endless stations, that since our chat, I have wondered how I could get U3a groups around the country to think about adopting their local stations. Quite a few, for example, say, welcome to Derby, the home of Derby University. Why can't we have a similar recognition on small stations close to the U3a? Using your contacts with SVR, do you know how stations, and who owns stations and who I could contact nationally to discuss options? I put Alan very quickly in touch with Fraser Pithy, who's my contact at Network Rail, and they met in August to discuss a plan forward with Alan's ideas. And I really do hope from the bottom of my heart that he succeeds, and we should all be exceedingly proud that it is our U3a that is the flagship for this potential exciting way of advertising the existence of the U3a movement. So very quickly, before we show you in pictures, an overview of all the projects, because I know not everybody has seen them at the station. First of all, we have a notice board by the entrance, quite clearly, that states that we are the U3a adoption group and the projects we're working on. And that was funded by Worcestershire Community Rail Partnership, and they gave us £597 for that. The first and easiest project to get underway was creating the herb bed, which used to be a gigantic ashtray, if anybody ever saw it. Some of the funding came from Community Rail Network, and that was £167. Every little helps. Volunteer Roy Hughes, who's in the meeting today, virtually by himself, amazed at all. He sourced pallets and he constructed a fantastic bug hotel in the woodland part of the bank, all done totally for free, and it's part of the station's ecosystem. We began tackling the long bank approaching the station entrance, and it is a long bank if you've seen it. That project is led by Teresa, who has shown immense love and dedication to the project from day one, along with trusty volunteers Julia Stanfield, Sue Deakin, Roy Hughes, Jan Haylock and Marie Hancock. And I'm pretty good too with a saw. I managed to cut the trees down beautifully. Given the many lovely comments that we have, we are very happy with what we do and we enjoy our work. It's great fun when you see all walks of life go through the station. And Julia's piece, you might recall in the newsletter, explained exactly what had been seen. So all of that lot was very easy to get going. But it was the big projects that took us a little bit longer, but we persevered and we got there. First off was the carpet project. One of the things that they wanted us to do was to say all about what's our town all about? What are we famous for? Well, what are we famous for? Making wonderful carpets. And that should be noted. So that was the very first thing. And I asked Sue Cutler to take on that project, and she did an amazing job. She managed to get the Carpet Museum to donate free of charge all the boards that used to be outside their place. They're now gracing the station and have added lovely colour. And then I got West Midlands Railway to actually give us the money. £1,309 to put them on the wall. It was truly amazing, and it's a lovely spectacle. We even have a big sign saying, "Welcome to Kidderminster." Then there was the blue plaques. They're all around our town, but you don't see them unless you go around the town. So the idea was to put them all on the wall at the station, so everybody can read them, and everyone can have a look at the QR code and see exactly where to go and find them. Mike Loftus was instrumental in that, our very own gentleman here, because he's also a member of the Kidderminster Civic Society. He managed to get £783 out of them towards this project, and West Midlands Trains gave us another £1,000. Very few people, it turns out, actually knew that we were twinned with Hoosham. So that had got to be changed. So one of the best places to do it was at the station and right at the front of the station. And everybody knows that Hoosham is a small town by the sea, or at least I think you do. Why Kidderminster? Why a boat? And it's because Kidderminster is very famous for the motorboats that it used to make. Sea Line. A lot of people here will remember Sea Line used to manufacture. And also we're on the River Severn and we're on the canal network. So it's a good connection there with water. And I wanted to work on the curiosity of people, and it still works. They come to us and say, "But why a boat?" Well, that's the reason why it's a boat, and you'll find that in the film in a minute. A very strange occurrence happened as well. We had the twinning people give us 2 benches. They actually paid for 2 benches. And when we'd finished it, the 2 people who sat on the benches, first of all, were 2 ladies coming from a wedding from Germany. They were Germans, and it's all to do with Hoosham connection. They were absolutely thrilled with the connection, and they were happy to have their photos taken. Then, on the 17th of August, the Hoosham visitors themselves came along, and they were delighted. They put in €2,000 towards this project. So it was a completely funded privately project, and it's superb. In total, there was £4,129 given to us from that. Then, of course, the other thing that we're very famous for in Kidderminster is the Severn Valley Railway line. Amazing heritage for us. So that had to be put up somewhere. And what better way than have the Hagley Hall, which is their flagship, all as an artwork, all underneath the station. It's awesome if you go and have a look at it. And that was all helped along by Leslie Carr, who's the communications manager of SVR. I chatted to her, she loved the idea, and she got it all graphically designed for us, and we worked it out to a T. It was brilliant. And that has been privately funded by friends and family of Andrew Davey, who was a U3a member, but sadly died in 2021. But £4,000 went to that project, and every penny well spent. So we have got other things we'd like to do, but we don't have to. It's up to us whether we do it or not. We've done loads already that we're very proud of. And all these volunteers here have helped. Teresa, Sue Cutler, Mike Cutler, Sue Deakin, Marie Hancock, Jan Haylock, Tony Haylock, Roy Hughes, myself, John Metcalf, Gilbert Parker, Alan Perigo, and Julia Stanfield. There have been others as well. Mike Loftus I've mentioned, David Struckett and Martin Delahaye. They've all had a part in all of this. And the cherry on the top of the cake for the whole of this is that our U3a got notice for our efforts. And on the 25th of September, we went to a conference, the West Midlands Railway Stakeholders Conference, and completely out of the blue, we were actually given an award, a community award, for all of our efforts. So I think that's a really good achievement for our particular U3a. So now you've heard all about the upfront bit, we'll show you the pictures. So I hope you enjoy, and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to have a look as well. So I'll catch you in a moment. Thank you. Welcome to an update in pictures of our U3a adoption of Kidderminster Mainline Railway Station, which was opened in June 2020. We hope you enjoy. There has been imagination in abundance, and we begin to change the look of the station. We have added character, interest, colour, and so enhancing the experience of all who visit the station, as well as getting the U3a movement noticed, which is one of our aims. We want people to know who is making these enhancements. So the first project was installation of a notice board, all paid for by Worcestershire Community Rail Partnership. Early on we had a meeting of minds and soon realised that every thought can create a reality, and it has. It really is a labour of love, and we all enjoy the time we give to the station project. It's absolutely fantastic to see the bank evolve from scrubland. And we now see something that looks cared for and actually under control. What a huge difference everyone is making, and we receive loads of thanks too from passers-by. Fiona has been working with us from day one, and Fraser was a welcome contact later in the project, helping with the many protocols we had to deal with. The Bug Hotel should be named after Roy, whose creation is amazing, and all from a pile of gifted pallets. It really must be the cheapest hotel ever built, and our contribution towards the station's ecosystem. It is sited in the wooded area, which is now maturing very nicely. So let's hope it gets many, many visitors. Now, who better than Sue Cutler, Group Leader of the U3a Industrial History Group, to get this project off the ground? And, together with sidekick husband Mike, revisited his CAD skills to produce drawings for us to work from. March the 23rd saw the station suddenly taking on colour. And we now proudly welcome visitors to Kidderminster. We are rightly very proud of one of its once major industries known around the globe. These images were for many years situated in front of the Museum of Carpet. They now have another lease of life. This is recycling at its very best. We thank West Midlands Trains for funding the installation of this wonderful display of carpets through the decades. And now, another thing that Kidderminster is famous for. I involved Severn Valley Railway in this project,
and Leslie Carr was only too pleased to help us. However, it took nearly 3 years to get from the drawing board to this, but it was well worth the wait. Tony just loves trains, so he didn't need to be asked twice to go and see a creation in the making. So we now have part of an engine and grey smoke. "6 a.m. and a day of note. The neighbour next door allowed us to park and unload in his driveway, but those pieces are rather heavy and it's quite a way down the slope, but the handlers were not at all fazed by the task. They have a 10-minute moment of panic aligning the first piece, but the only glitch in the installation, thank goodness. These guys knew exactly what they were doing and all went smoothly. The grey smoke is now bringing the artwork to life. One last piece to go and huge sighs of relief all round. It's up in all its glory and it's awesome. Photo was taken by John Oates, a Severn Valley Railway enthusiast there on the day, especially for the installation. Family and friends of Andrew are delighted with the finished artwork in his memory. This empty wall is soon to display Kidderminster's many places of historical interest. First though, we need the services again of Cadman Mike and Sue Cutler. Mike Loftus is a member of the Kidderminster Civic Society, so best placed to make this project happen, and he certainly did. What you have just seen are just some of the plaques on display on the wall. Here you see them in all their glory, with QR codes for those who want to find out more about the historical plaque. One item of historical note didn't have a blue plaque, but it's not been forgotten. Early on in the project, I met with Jane Morant, who gave me the backstory for Sea Lion and shared photos. Very few people know of Kidderminster's twinning with Husum, so it's time to put that right. And the Twinning Association in Kidderminster and Husum were prepared to fund this project, and this is just the right spot for it. First of all, find a suitable boat for free. Robin Weldon from Alverley transported it to its temporary home. Then, find 2 able-bodied and dedicated people to take on a renovation. And get stuck in. It's all done to a very, very high standard, and it looks almost seaworthy again, doesn't it? Almost 1 year later, and over 400 hours of work, it now wants to leave dry dock. Local farmer Adrian Dale gave up valuable time to drive this creation with great care to its final destination. Martin offering to help was a godsend to the project. He believes that station adopters should help one another in our respective aims, and I agree. Martin also supplied and delivered the sleepers for us on installation day and helped us secure them in place. It really was an exceptionally hot day, and I was so grateful to all who carried on relentless in the heat. It was an amazing dedication by all who took part on the day. Hilary was highly delighted with what we had done and came along to see the progress. Well, just look how tidy it is after all the prior mess. Totally amazing. And now for one of the best parts, planting out and providing colour. All finally done, and now we have Husum spelt out in box plant. Now for the second stage, the day of the bench installation. Few challenges along the way, but all completed satisfactorily. The most amusing part, first visitors to use the bench were 2 young ladies who had travelled from Germany to attend a wedding, and they were delighted to be photographed for this bit of history. Now the third and final stage, an explanation as to what the project is all about. A A little bit of interest has now been added to a once very boring patch of ground. Our lovely visitors from Hoosham were delighted with this joint project which they had contributed towards, celebrating 70 years of the Twinning Association in 2025. The final mark of this project is highlighting that it is our U3a which has transformed the station and made it more interesting and informative for all. This fact was echoed by Ian Baxter of SCL, who designed the new building, supporting Worcestershire County Council, who said that we have put much needed life into the new station. And all of these are the people who have contributed in one way or another to make the transformation possible. So many people often complain that a town or facility has seen better days, but do nothing to improve it. Our U3a has taken on the challenge and has shown what can be done with effort, determination and just a little bit of imagination. Almost at the end of the show, but a surprise is in store. Because the hard work and perseverance of so many has been rewarded, and we are now community champions.
People are naturally inquisitive, so a boat? Why a boat? It's created the interest we wanted. Why a boat in landlocked Kidderminster?
Kidderminster is twinned with Hoosham, a small German town by the sea.
And Sea Line, one of the biggest manufacturers of ocean-going motorboats in Europe, was based here in Kidderminster.
And we enjoy the Staffordshire and Worcestershire Canal network, not forgetting, of course, the glorious River Severn. So, that is why we've got a boat. When approached, 4 local communities were keen to demonstrate our heritage, and the Severn Valley Railway was just one of them.
Our Twinning Association with Hoosham,
Kidderminster Civic Society and the Museum of Carpet.
We were approached by the U3a to have a presence at the Kidderminster station. As we're already in the process of changing some of the imagery in the museum, we decided to donate some of the artwork to Kidderminster station.
Between us, we joined forces with ideas on how best to portray our rich history, the result being a colourful and exciting transformation at the station.
well, we certainly added a pop of colour to the station walls on both platforms and made a huge difference to the long bank, which was quite a wilderness.
While we're working, people often comment kindly on what we're doing and thank us for making the station look cared for. We hope that the Bug Hotel will encourage more eco-diversity.
Kidderminster's rich heritage is now conveyed to commuters and visitors.
And we've added QR codes to each of the panels so that everyone can have immediate access online to much greater detail about these historic parts of Kidderminster.